your ayasa, yasa, fame and ill fame, ninda, praise and blame, and sukha, happiness and dukkha. So the Buddha looked at these and then he wanted to find a solution. And in one of the sutras, very interesting sutta, he said, yes, I was groping in the dark, and then all of a sudden it came to me, why? This happens because we are born. We are not born, we don't have this. We have to, we undergo all these things because we are born. So is there a way to be, not to be born? Is there a way that we can put a stop to that with birth? So this whole concept of forgiving, and the Buddha's teaching is something that is very practical, and to find solutions to something that we need every day. In our day-to-day life, we encounter it. And how is it possible to find a solution to this? And in that, one of the most important things is being able to forgive. And also the asking for forgiveness and also the act of forgiveness is extremely important. Because we just think of these situations in human. What happens if we ask for forgiveness? Now say in our bhikkhu life, if there is a person, say, I mean, very nearly 90, close of 90. But if there is a person who is 30 years and who is elder to me in Upasampada, he is elder. I'm only 8 years, so there are so many who are elder to me, but very young in age. Now, there are 30 or a person who 30 will be, and if they have taken the ordination, ordained themselves at the age of 20, so 29, 30, all are. So I bow down. I worship, I salute on all fours. What happens? The thing that, just see what happens in one's mind, the development in the mind. It's always with age, we want others to respect us. We expect so many things. And because of our age, sometimes there is a thing called, we have self-conceit. We have, I have been this, I have been this, you can, in your real life, in my life, so many things. And along with that, you have the thing called conceit, man. Because overall, the whole teaching of the Buddha is to get rid of these defiling factors. And the way it is defined, the conditions why we are being born is because we are, in our minds, we have our defilements. If we get rid of those defiling factors, the conditions are, we speak of dependent origination, we speak of Pancasaupada. With these conditions, jati, there is birth and there is continuance. If those conditions are no more, then there is no birth. So the whole effort of every one of us, whether it's a layman or whether it's a big boy, is to see that those defining factors, we get rid of those defining factors. So in this act of saluting a monk, a senior monk, what happens is, first thing is that it takes off your conceit, your mind. So that's one of the defining factors. It's the same way, as you grow old, as you grow up in society, you expect respect from others. You expect so many things from others. Along with that, there is the conceit that is developing in your mind. So that's one of the things you reduce. When you do this type, then you reduce. There's a reduction the elimination or your some of your defining factors are get lessened. And that's important because when you all you know of Sammavaya, but what are the Sammavaya? Development is one. If there are any defining factors, you have to get rid of them, you have to get lessen them, finally eliminate them. And if there are certain qualities that you don't have, you have to develop those qualities. And that's the whole vaya, the whole energy that all of us exercise, even by observing sin. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to get rid of those defining factors on one side, and we have to develop the good factors. So when in this particular condition of where we forgive and in the act of asking forgiveness, sometimes, it is not only young children, but even the elders, anyone could do a wrong thing. But we don't want to ask forgiveness from the other. This happens in our life. Why is it that we don't want to ask forgiveness? It's because of your conceit. It's because of the mana, because of your I consciousness. You are very concerned. I should this this. Why should I? He did that. So that type of feeling that you have inside, and it's because of that we don't ask forgiveness or we don't forgive. Then also, when you forgive another, it also helps in reducing another some ill will that you have, the ill will, your anger. Sometimes you have hatred towards others, and that also comes down. So those are also defining factors. You have, say, those are moha. Those are the three main factors which is the four reasons for our continuing life, the defining factors. But along with that, there's upanaha. That's upanaha, another defining factor. That's, we have a grudge. Continue with that grudge. Inside that, it's boiling within us. So those are things that really you have to, when we try forgiving another, it helps in reducing those type of defining factors. And also on the other hand, we develop certain good things. Now, if we can forgive, and if we do forgive, along with that, we have more compassion. We have more compassion. We develop that quality of compassion. We develop karuna. We also develop loving kindness, your metta towards others. Because when you look at a particular person with compassion, or loving kindness, then immediately, why should I have this grudge? Why should I? It helps a person. It helps a person to develop these good qualities of compassion, of loving kindness. It's not only that. It also helps in a mental calm. I think I can remember a long time ago, there was sermon that I gave on the function model. There are certain things which boils, the simile of water. If a person is angry, if the simile is something like bubbling, simmering, when the water is boiled, there's the bubbling, the simmering. It's like that. The thing is, there is no calmness. You can't have your calm mind. Along with that, so that aspect of calmness, you also it helps in developing the calm. Along with that, also happiness. You are happy. When you do a good thing, When we forgive another person and genuinely we feel for that person, what the quality that develops happiness? If that person is also happy, you see that person's happiness. So this is another quality that improves, that along with forgiving person is something that's happiness. And also comes to long life. You know, one of the major reasons of heart disease. Now, recently they are saying it's not cholesterol. They say stress. Stress is the biggest killer. It's not cholesterol. The recent studies are showing that although we give it cholesterol, now they're saying it's more than cholesterol. What happens in the heart attacks and everything is because you have stress. The stress. So these are, if you think of any situation, where you have to ask God, or you give God, if somebody has wronged you, it just because your human relationship. Your human relationship, it may be a relationship of employee-employee relationship. It could be a relationship of husband and wife. It could be a relationship of your parents and you, right? Or you as parents and your children. You with your parents or your children with you. It could be a relationship with your teachers. It could be a relationship with the monks, the bhikkhus or otherwise. So these are the human relations. All of you have heard and listened to the Siddhartha Sutta, where the six directions are akin, are equated to these type of relationships. So it is in these human relationships that problems arise. It's in these relationships. The faults, the problems, some issue comes. It's in this relationship. And the interesting thing is that with these relationships only, many things could happen outside your service, your cycle of relationship. Those doesn't hurt you very much. You just listen to it. But it's when a person gets closer and closer and closer to you, then you are hurt more. You also think the forgiveness, sometimes it's difficult to give that forgiveness. I find it extremely difficult. How should I give it? How could I give this? How could I forgive this person? He should not have done this. All types of arguments that are coming within you. Why he should not? And happens because of this. Who is suffering? The suffering is yours. It's not of the other person. The other person may not. But certain people foolishly may even commit suicide. I want to hurt that person by committing suicide. But the other person may not be concerned at all. So what I want to show is that in the act of forgiving and giving forgiveness, it's something for your own personal development. It's all for your own personal development. One of the things that really, is an impediment for us, our own progress, is keeping grudge, not being able to give, to forgive, not being able to ask for forgiveness. They both are important. You don't ask for forgiveness, just you say, why should I ask for forgiveness? And he had done the wrong thing. And why should I? So this type of arguing within, the calmness is no more. So this is something that you have to understand. that in forgiving and giving, asking for forgiveness, it is something that is closely associated with one's own mental development. It's for your own happiness. It's for your own happiness. But the thing is, we don't see it that way. We don't see it that way. Why? Because we are disillusioned. That's the ignorance that we have, that the Buddha speaks of. The ignorance is that we don't see the true nature of things. We see it with the I, with the ego. We see everything with the I concept of I, my, and mine. Our whole world is around that. And that's why the Buddha said once, in this fathom long body, I see the world, I see the cause, I see the cessation and also the path. You know, the thing is, the whole world around is around you. There is a world outside, true enough, but there is a world, your own world, and it's in this world that all this happens. And it's in this world that we have to develop our mind to get to that position where we are not perturbed. We are not, our minds are not perturbed by these topics. And that's to be consciously done. And that's the difference between, your forgiveness by grace of someone. But here in Buddhism, the whole concept of forgiving and able to forgive is something for your own personal development happiness. So, very many of us, as so long as we are in the Pratapjana world, all of us are, unless we attain, we are on path, we are either become a Sotapanna, Agami, then we are on the path. We have this. If you think deeply, like what I want is, rather than looking outside, we are also, what's happening in society, we also get, agitated by what's happening in society. But we can't do anything about it. But also there are so many things that happen just close to us. Why is it that that there is so much, if you read the papers, husband and wife, how many times, guys, I've heard that when you marry now, and if you have asked a person to take the photographs, they ask for the photographs, very much early, that's what I've heard. Why? Because even before you pay, could be that these two persons have quarreled. So it's again, and it's difficult. This is where the difficult. When the relations are close and close and close, closer to you, it's more difficult for you. And then you have to start analyzing the situation. And that's what the Buddha has done. Analyze, find the root cause. Why is it that I am still having this grudge in me? Why is it that I can't look at this person in the face? It was very good to me, but now I can't. And then you start analyzing. And you say, one is, if your analysis is, you were humiliated. You think of yourself, he should not have done this. He humiliated me in open. So that's a grudge that you have. He humiliated me in open. This happens sometimes. Sometimes you do with your children, you humiliate your children with the other person. Something was unexpected behavior from another person. When you analyze it, unexpected behavior, I didn't expect this from that person. And it is because of the unexpected behavior. How could I do this? So that's another reason why it's not possible for me to ask forgiveness. I can't forgive, and I can't ask for forgiveness? One, because of these aspects or these conditions, these are the things that that happens in your mind. It could be also the desire to teach a lesson. Sometimes you do certain things and I don't want to forgive. I want to teach him a lesson. So the thing is, so also desire is unpardonable. You know, that the offense that is created is unpardonable. I can't pardon. How can I do this? So these are some of the problems that come in your own mind. If you analyze any situation, any relationship, and if it is not possible for you or any person to forgive that person, or also not to ask forgiveness, some of the things that comes in your mind are this type of thoughts. How can I pardon? I didn't expect this from him. You know, he humiliated me in public. So it's all around that. So when you analyze that, find out the reason. It's important to find out the reason. Because that's the system or the root cause. When you try to find the root cause, only you can get it out. Get this, because you have to get it out of your mind. I said if you don't have this feelings, you're happy. You know, your life becomes peaceful, calm, and less more enjoyable. And so why don't we do that? Then analysis, you know, if you analyze the consequences of not forgiving, right? Don't forgive, what happens? You analyze that. Try to find out for yourself. Why is it? Who is suffering? Who is suffering? Sometimes I'm suffering because I keep this grudge and I am suffering. And my whole life is one of suffering. It's not what the dukkha that the Buddha wanted. This is a suffering that I am having this suffering because of my own reasoning, my own egoism, my own self-conceit, any of those things that which I had earlier. I am suffering. He's not suffering, I'm suffering. So, and also analyze, you can analyze further. It's a process of analysis. You can analyze the reasons for forgiving. Analyze the reasons for forgiving. Now, you can analyze, you can think of yourself. You can think whether you in your own life has not done the same thing. Have I not done the same thing to another person? You know, I have done that. Then you realize, yes, what would have been the feeling of the other person if I have done that? It's the same feeling that I had when the other person have done this to me. It's the same feeling. So when you start thinking like that, in my life, I also have made other people suffer by my actions, by my, you know, by my speech, by the way that I reacted to that situation. And mentally, I hated that person. I hate that person. This concept. So these are things that you look into it as to why the reasons for forgiving also that they have, by looking at this and say, if that is so, if I have, why don't I forgive? Why don't I forgive? So all these I've shown you just to say that in our day-to-day life, we, in our own way, have created or have come up with reasons for not forgiving a person or for not asking forgiving from another person. We have. And then we look further. Why is it all this? Then you look at the broader picture. What am I? How long am I to live? Is this life maybe 60, 70, 80, 90 years you can live? That's all. It's tiny speck when you think of the samsaric life. The samsaric life. Yes, the Buddha has mentioned that you also can develop your Ubbe Nivasana Sunyana. That's a jnana. You can develop. The Buddha said yes. Without just, if you want to develop your mind and develop that particular jnana where it's possible for you to see past lives, and you will see. And when you see that, if you believe, and I think all of us as Buddhists, we believe in people, that there is a future, there is lives to come. And then, in this short period, what happens at the point of death? We don't take anything. We don't come with anything, and we don't go out with it. You don't take. You accumulate so many things in this life. Accumulate wealth, accumulate all this good and rubbish, everything we accumulate. And we make our life miserable. But when you think that what is all these things? Even my relationship, my husband, my wife, my grandmother, everyone, all these are relationships only during this short period of maybe 60, 70, 80 years, a very short period. And during that particular small period of few years, I'm keeping this grudge. I can't forgive. I'm not forgiving. I can ask for forgiveness. So that's because of our honesty. And then you realize at the point of death, nothing. It's all over. And you have this very short life, and in this very short period of life, you're not getting the best of this life. You're not making the best of this life. Why? Because of my own way of thinking. Because of my keeping these grudges. Because of my not being able to forgive. And not being able to grant forgiveness to anyone. It's because of that. Just think that way. When you think that way, then you will see who is the fool, that I'm a fool. I have made my life miserable. I have made my life miserable. Why should I make my life miserable? With such a good teaching like of the Buddha, where the Buddha has shown us the way, showed us how to do that. And what is happiness? It says if you develop your mind, in the Mangala Sutta, that particular verse, very interesting, the last verse. Puttasa lokadammehi chittam yasa na kampati. That's it. If you reach that particular state, na kampati, that your mind it doesn't waver, you cannot, by any of these, of the lokadamma, you come to that situation where no one can. Whatever is it? Look at the life of the Buddha. See. We see his life, learn, we know his life. His own brother-in-law, Devadatta is just your brother-in-law. No one else. Your wife's brother. Ashrasodhara's brother is Devadatta. The type of things that he tried to do. Has anyone in your life, have you undergone that type of problem? Have you? Just see how much. Then the Brahmins were against him, the groups. You want to make, Buddha says, and the story where a woman was going daily and sleeping somewhere else and going out after 9 months coming and saying, path, you are preaching, but you are responsible for what is happening for this child. Can you imagine the Buddha, a woman coming and saying, you know, the, all that the Buddha was able to bear, because he was able to develop his mind to that level. He was, all this. I know that I'm not faulted. I'm not faulted, so I can go anywhere. I'm not faulted. There are certain instances where people were against getting the bhikkhus, and Ananda said, Venerable Ananda, please, let's go from this place. They're all disparaging bhikkhus and you. Venerable said, if in the other town also they start disparaging, what should I do? No, it won't happen. My life is pure. Because my life is pure, I have the strength to withstand all this. So we take courage. As Buddhists, we take courage from the life of the Buddha and say, now what is this? And if people think of the small incidents that happened in one's life, a very, very small incident, and how we keep that small incident in mind, by not forgiving or not asking forgiveness, is that you see that folly of what we are doing. So these are things that that we have to really think of and try. What has to be done is to develop the mind. To develop the mind. That's what and in developing the mind, it's not easy. Sometimes, when you say, spread loving kindness, you spread loving kindness, and the Buddha, this Buddha kindness is aparima, boundless love. And in that, for a moment, sometimes in our mind, we get ready. We are able to forget in our mind. As we develop loving kindness, thoughts of loving kindness, our mind is more calm and said, why should I do it? We are not always in that particular mood of loving kindness, of developing of metta. When we go back to society, again it comes back. When you see that person, we again all comes up. He's the person. So it's a continual process, and that's what the Buddha says. It's not you have to do the development of your mind, your metta bhavana has to be done, developed to such an extent that the development has reached without any kind of limit, without any kind of doubt. So it's not only metta, according to the Brahma Vihara, you have developed your metta, loving kindness. You have developed your compassion in that same way. You have developed your altruistic joy of happiness of others, enjoy, and also you affect equanimity. So these are things that one has to develop. Patiently, mindfully, it has to be done. So the whole concept of forgiving and giving forgiveness, you have to look at it from the point of view of developing one's own mind, developing one's own, and clearly see as the path, as something that we have to do if we are to reach our goal. As you know, there are certain people with, the Buddha says, with your inner traits, dasa. There's the people with more anger, there are people with more calm, and also with delusion. These are three major types. There are people who are more very sensuous, ask me that. There are people who are very irritated. You know yourself, you have to study yourself and see what am I. And then try to get the antidote for that, develop that, and then try to see that. So these are some of the thoughts that I have on this subject. So it's on report 15. And so the whole concept what I want to, what we have been discussing now, of forgiving another and asking for forgiveness is something for your own good and for your own development. It is not because of any grace or failure. It's not something. And why we are not able to do that is because we ourselves have created barriers. And do it because of this. And understand that. And then you have to look at the happiness that you will get if you can, develop that above that without having any grudges. Your mind is calm, you're happy. And so those, some of those thoughts that I like to read with you. So it's on this poem day. It's 4:30. We want to finish at 4:15. If there are any questions, you can ask some questions. Or what you want to do. Are there any questions? No? No question? Yes. You have to be very loud, Somebody has to come and tell you. We have to be personally but yes, the thing is, sometimes you have personally, sometimes immediately you say, I'm sorry. It all depends. I'm sorry. The thing is, it could be, although you say you're sorry, the same thing would be, your pardon him, but it could be that that particular person you have pardoned. Those are people with close relationship. It's just going on the street and you meet something and then you say sorry, you don't meet that person again. But sometimes it happens that there is a first, and then they repeat the thing. I pardon once, I pardon twice, I pardon thrice. How many times am I? And then that's something that happens. So these are things to look into. And also, you can say something. Then also, whether that what you say is something genuinely coming from your heart. Sometimes there's good manners. So when you're good manners, you say, yes, I'm sorry, and that's all. You forget. But in your relationship with pastors, whether it's coming, you have to find out yourself that whether it is coming from the depth of your heart. And if it's coming from the depth of your heart, then I think the forgiving, then there is, it just is showing in your face, and also in your actions, and also in your speech. Just not mere saying, I'm sorry, it's both that. So in human relationship, as I said, it depends on what the type of relationship that we have had. And whether it's something repeated, and whether when it's repeated and repeated, is it possible for us to keep our calm? So these you have to consider these as challenging. I was able to, 3 times, 4 times, after 10 times, then what the Buddha said is right, all right, if that be so, Bhaktadandas, you can't, it's not possible for me to, and there are certain things we are way to do it. So, personal, yes, but it's not really that. That is more that.
Bhante, there is a question.
Yeah.
Please kindly mention the way we start loving kindness meditation. And the same person, what's the difference between relaxation and meditation?
Well, the thing is, sometimes we are in stressful conditions. Even if you see, even when we start our sermon, we think of the 5 minutes of meditation. The 5 minutes of meditation is not real meditation, but here there's relaxation. You relax everything. You allow things to let go. You're keyed up. You're more do this and that thing. You sit down, and when you sit down, start relaxing. Then your mind and you're ready to do your meditation. Relaxation, it comes before development of meditation. Meditation is developing your mind. And then relaxation, you relaxing your mind, relaxing, letting go. The word that is used by the Brahman and others is you let go. You don't allow this thing. You let go. And everything you're calm. You have nothing more. And you're open. And then you start your meditation. Okay? And this is first to yourself. You don't have your loving kindness to yourself. You can't have loving kindness to others. So things you have loving kindness to yourself, you develop that. And you see that when you have that, then it's possible for you to give it to others, to spread that loving kindness to the outside world. And that's how it is. So I know
That is clear.
Right?
Just ask if there are any other questions.
Are there any other questions, please?
From the Zoom audience, we have about 26 people. 22. No questions, we can end it.
Yes, so the question. So I don't know whether I have satisfied the president of the Solid when she asked me to speak on forgiveness. And this is a subject that has not been discussed in this forum. I'm also very happy that sometimes the subjects that are given by President and others, it makes me also think. It's not something taken at a particular way. You start thinking about this whole aspect. And the concept of forgiving is extremely important because our life has become a drudgery, our lay life, because of our inability to forgive the people who are very close to us. The most difficult persons for us to forgive are those people who have been very close to us. And that's how it is. When you are attached to that person more, you have expected so much from that person. And because of the attachment, because of your expectation, these are the two things. When something happens, when even a word, it hurts you more. And as it hurts you more, it's difficult to forgive and well. So it's necessary when you think that this drudgery or this type of thought that I have, it ends with death. It means I'm carrying that to my next life also. In a way. When you see the Jataka stories, they've gone and on and on. Is it necessary for us? So you think of it and develop your mind, develop your upekkha, develop your compassion, and develop your loving kindness in such a way that you don't have these differences when you see others. You see everyone as human beings. You see everyone as human. The relations are there, the relations of others, that's it. That's only for this life. And then you develop your mind. It's the most important thing. So I think today we have observed self the whole day here. Some of you, from 6:30 in the morning. I can remember about a few years back, when there was a silk program, it was not so organized as now. It's more organized. The people, there was meditation. You have led a very good life. Well, what we do when you take observe self, that on that day you have lived like an arahant. Like an arahant. We are not and live in that life. So, for all those blessings, now let us conclude your 30. Let us share our merit with the Devas. Tavata Sabbadan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Tavata Sabbadan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Tavata Chandini Sambhatan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. And also let us share the merit of food with those who have departed. Maybe your parents or children or everyone, your friends, relations, everyone who have been close to you in this life. Or maybe in samsaric life also there may be others who may be for them to get out of that situation. So think of them and loving kindness and let us pray. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita kuntu nyatu Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita kuntu nyatu Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita kuntu nyatu Akasatthata bhumata devanaga Maitriya punyantan anumoditva chiran rakhantu sasanam Akasatthata bhumata devanaga Maitriya punyantan anumoditva Chiran rakhantu desanam Akasatthata bhumata devanaga Maitriya punyantan anumoditva chiran rakhantu mantam. May all be well and happy.